I'm Sunny, and yes, I'm in the same fit from the last video because I literally just recorded the last video. But I'm Sunny, for those of you who haven't watched the last video, and this is Thought Vomit YouTube edition. So let's. I don't really need to cleanse the space again, but I'm not gonna waste that because I already cleansed it like twice, like 15, 18, 20 minutes ago. But in my last video, I talked about, right and wrong. And in the beginning, I had mentioned that I don't believe in or agree with the idea of like, I don't know if I like this camera angle. Hold on. Like, is that bad? Okay, it's a little better. So I was like, I don't believe in like universal moral truths, like it's really frustrating me that I don't know the technical term for that, so I'm gonna look it up like really quick. Um, but hold on, the universal moral truths. Um, philosophy. Moral universalism, also called moral objectivism. Okay, so universal moralism is the meta ethical position that some system of ethics or universal ethics applies universally. That is for all simil, yeah, for all similarly situated individuals, regardless of culture, race, sex, religion, nationality, sex orientation, gender identity, or other. So basically, in not fucking nerd terms, that means that this theory suggests that no matter who you are and where you are, the same moral truths apply to you and are true for you, just as they are for somebody else, right? And this basically says that, like, if you believe that it's morally wrong to kick your dog, then that's a universal truth that you believe everybody should follow, right? It is morally wrong for anybody everywhere to kick their dog, right? I do not agree with that philosophy. And this episode we're going to talk about why, okay? So, get your pot, get your water, or whatever you're doing. I don't know. I've met some people who like listen to the podcast while cleaning or doing other things. There's this one lady that I met at my job. Hopefully she's like sees this or listens to it, but honestly I don't know if she will ever. But if she does, then I want to mention this because she was totally fucking dope. Her and her husband were great. She's a janitor, and she was like saying that she wants to listen to my podcast while doing her little janitorial work or whatever. And I don't know, for some reason that just made me happy because me personally, I really like janitors. I've always had really nice experiences with janitors, and I don't know, this is like so random and weird, but I think highly of janitors. And so when she was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to your podcast while I do my work, I was like, you wanna listen to me while you clean? Like, because I don't know why that made me so happy, but also she was asking me to do YouTube, and I think that's mostly what inspired me to do the YouTube version because I really wanted her to be able to listen to me while she was doing her work. I don't know, for some reason I found that flattering. But anyways, back to the moral universalism, the technical term for it. Pot first. Okay, so there's a few problems with there's a few problems with moral universalism. The main thing is that everybody everywhere has very different cultures, right? Even from person to person. Like I live here in America, and I have a very different culture from my downstairs neighbor who they're Asian, and also live here in America but have a completely different fucking culture than I do, or from another black person. Like, culture is so individual, and what's acceptable in that culture is also very individual. Um, so applying a universal moral truth to everybody doesn't seem ethical at all, which is kind of hilarious because it's an ethics argument. But it just doesn't seem ethical or accurate. It doesn't seem plausible or possible. Okay? Because let's go to a fun example. I really like this example. Um, I really want to find out the philosopher that first used this example because I read it in a philosophy book, and I'm so shitty that I can't remember because I lost my philosophy journal. But anyways, there was a point made about how, I don't know if Eskimos still do this or if this is still accurate information, so just take it as an example and not actual fact. But Eskimos will kill off the babies that are born if they can't take care of them, right? Because they're very nomadic and they live in a harsh climate. So if they feel like they don't have the resources or the ability to raise up this child in a healthy, happy manner, then they will kill the baby, right? And to a lot of other people, that might seem very immoral and unethical and just terrible, but to them it's incredibly moral because what they're doing is saving this baby's life in the long run, because now the baby doesn't have to suffer from starvation, from freezing, from lack. The baby does not have to suffer from lack because they made the hard choice to kill the baby when it was young. I personally agree with that, right? But people hearing me say that would be like, oh, so you're immoral, right? But I don't think that it's immoral at all. But I completely understand why other people might view it as immoral because you're taking a life. I think that sums up the entire reason why you can't use moral universalism, because I mean, it goes back to what I was talking about in the last episode of polarity. Like, both have to be true, or else none of them are true, right? So if two things have to be true, or else nothing is true, then you can't have moral universalism, because moral universalism suggests that one thing is true for everybody instead of multiple things being true for each individual, right? And I think anybody who has lived any amount of time on earth can let you know that no two things are the same for everybody. It's just not possible. Like, we wouldn't be unique, we wouldn't be human. I don't like we would it just wouldn't work, you know. But then there's other things like that give me kind of a hard time. Like, maybe I agree with that version of moral universalism. Hold on. I forgot that I had pot hair. I got excited there for a second. You didn't see the excitement because I'm in deep thought, but anyways. Okay. So, things like, okay, I think that the only thing that maybe can be used in moral universalism is the idea that everybody should act, that is morally correct to act in a heart of service, or morally correct to act through love, right? The problem with that is what that looks like is very unique to the individual and the culture. But I think that's like really the only vague things are the only things that can be applied as as universal law. Like, very vague things like act out of love. That is vague because it looks different for everybody. Or it's morally incorrect to act out of hate. That's vague because it looks different for everybody. But these are the only things that really can be applied to everybody, because it leaves room for us to be the unique individuals that we are. Anyways, just a thought. I'm kidding. um, yeah, okay. And then I feel like I pretty much summed up like why I personally don't agree with it. It's simply because it would be inaccurate to apply it to everybody in the way that it seems like a lot of people who believe in this would want to apply. Like they would want to go as far to say that it's immoral to murder, it's immoral to abuse your animals, it's immoral to rape and pillage. Oh, sorry, like trigger warning, a little late, but and personally, I agree with some of these, but I would never apply it universally to everybody because I don't know other people's culture that well. Like, I don't know why they might be called to do those things, but also, without those things, we couldn't know the opposite. Without murder, we couldn't know, without death, we couldn't know life, right? Without pain, we couldn't know, like, what's the fucking opposite of pain? Opposite of pain, according to vocabulary.com, pleasure. Okay, yeah. Without pain, we couldn't know pleasure, right? So these things have to exist, which means it would be silly to say that they're immoral, right? Because me personally, hot take, don't crucify me. I am grateful for the people who act in a harmful way, because without those people, we wouldn't know the opposite of that. Like, without a narcissist, not narcissist, without a liar, we wouldn't know someone who's honest. They wouldn't be an honest person if the liar didn't exist, and the liar wouldn't be a liar if the honest person didn't exist. And some people might argue that it would be better if everybody was an honest person, but I like to be able to enjoy things. And if everybody was an honest person, then I couldn't enjoy honesty because I wouldn't know the difference. Like, I wouldn't know anything other than honesty. You see what I'm saying? So, with universal moral truths, trying to apply them kind of takes away the joy of experiencing, because if everybody were to follow these moral truths, then certain things wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't be able to enjoy the moral truths because we wouldn't know anything other. Yeah, I feel like that made sense. Bong hit. Ooh, that was kind of a lot of ash. Okay. No. Weed crumbs everywhere. Okay, I'm 13 minutes in. I mean, I feel like I made my point. I was really excited to talk about the moral universalism, right? I think it's a very interesting concept. There's a lot of things in ethics that I think are very interesting. And honestly, you could even take it to obviously you could take everything to a spiritual level, and I'm going to take it to a spiritual level. So even in like the spiritual realm, right? I feel like a lot of people in the spiritual realm might also automatically live by the philosophy of moral universalism. Like, I feel like when you get introduced and as you go along in your journey, your spiritual journey, at least me personally, I notice that I tend to try and apply universal truths to everyone, right? Like, what I find true in my spirituality it's got to be true for everybody. And to an extent, yeah, maybe, but no. Like a very obvious example is God, right? Everybody in the spiritual community has a different outlook, a different definition, a different name for God, right? And what I believe to be God is not going to necessarily be true for someone else. So, and I can't say that they are morally incorrect or wrong for what they believe in, because it's just based on their personal experience and their own culture, right? So, but I feel like a lot of times in the spiritual community, we want to group everything together because, I mean, humans, we like community. We like being amongst like-minded individuals, right? And the spiritual community is very much like very much wanting to come together as one, because that's honestly a very popular concept in spirituality, is like being one. But with being one, we have to be careful to not try and apply universal moral truths to everybody. Yeah. Yeah, I think I said it. I hope that made sense, but even if it didn't, that's okay. I don't think I have anything else to say really, but I really hope that you enjoyed that and got something out of it. Feel free, like, absolutely, it's very much encouraged to comment your thoughts and opinions, elaborate on my thoughts and opinions, or challenge them. I welcome all of that. Obviously, keep it polite, but let's grow together. Yeah, we're on our highest timeline. I'm Sunny again. I'm Sunny, and this is Thought Vomit. Thanks for joining me.